Hi, this is Alex from Groovy Entertainment. Today we're gonna have a book on CD to play for you. Today book is Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace for 1999. So let's get started.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, the Galactic Republic was in turmoil. Trade routes were in dispute, and planets that had been at peace were suddenly on the brink of war. The Supreme Chancellor secretly sent two Jedi Knights, guardians of peace, to settle the conflict on the small planet Naboo. We, the members of the Jedi Council, have created this record of those terrible events. This recording device has captured the images and sounds of the struggle so that future generations will remember. This device has been pre-programmed. When you hear, go to the next section. The story began when the greedy Trade Federation surrounded Naboo with warships. They wanted to force Queen Amidala to sign a treaty with them, but she refused. Two Jedi Knights, Qui-Gon Jinn and his young apprentice, Obi-Wan Kenobi, were sent to settle the dispute. Qui-Gon wasted no time in confronting the leaders of the Trade Federation on their battleship. Obi-Wan asked his teacher,
"How do you think this Trade Viceroy will deal with the Chancellor's demands?"
Qui-Gon shrugged.
These Federation types are cowards. The negotiations will be short.
But the Jedi did not suspect that the Trade Federation leaders were secretly scheming with the mysterious Darth Sidious. He was a Dark Lord of the Sith, a sworn enemy of the Jedi Knights. Sidious was furious that the Jedi had become involved.
Kill them immediately.
Without warning, the two Jedi were attacked by Trade Federation battle droids. But droids are no match for Jedi. Using their lightsabers, they slashed their way through the war machines, then slipped aboard Trade Federation ships bound for the planet Naboo.
You were right about one thing, Master. The negotiations were short.
The ships landed in a murky swamp, and the Jedi slipped out as massive troop carriers rumbled into the distance. Obi-Wan was stunned.
It's an invasion army.
We've got to warn the Naboo and contact Chancellor Valorum.
Qui-Gon replied. But how? Even two Jedi Knights could not defeat an army. But the Force was with them, and help came from the strangest of places, a native of the planet named Jar Jar Binks. Jar Jar was a Gungan, a creature that lived in the Naboo swamp. He was hunting there when a huge warship suddenly roared over him. Diving in front of the ship, Qui-Gon pulled the tall, long-eared creature to safety. In his strange language, Jar Jar told Qui-Gon he was grateful.
Oh, muy, I love yours. Misa is humble servant.
That won't be necessary.
Replied Qui-Gon.
Oh, but it is. 'Tis demanded by the gods.
According to the Gungan way, Jar Jar now owed Qui-Gon a debt for saving his life. He offered to lead the Jedi to the underwater city, Ota Gunga, where the other Gungans lived. Together, they plunged into the dark water and swam to the city of Ota Gunga. The Gungans were not pleased to see Jar Jar. He had been banished from their city. The leader of Ota Gunga agreed to give the Jedi a transport to the capital city of Naboo, but decided to execute Jar Jar for returning. The panic-stricken Jar Jar was saved by quick thinking on Qui-Gon's part.
We need a navigator to get us through the planet's core. I saved his life. He owes me what you call a life debt.
Jar Jar was happy to be saved from execution, but terrified of the dangerous core.
Count Misa out of this one. Better dead here than dead her in the core.
Qui-Gon told Jar Jar that the Force would guide them through any danger, but the Gungan wasn't convinced.
Oh, Maxie big, the Force. Well, and that smells stinker with.
The core was more terrible than even Jar Jar had imagined. Giant sea monsters lurked in the darkness. One monster attacked, then was eaten by an even bigger one. The Bongo was free, but they were safe only for a moment when suddenly the ship lost power. Obi-Wan rewired the little sub, but now the huge jaws of another giant creature were just meters away. Zooming forward, they finally reached the surface of Naboo. By now, the battle droids had captured the Palace of Theed where the Queen lived. The Viceroy of the Trade Federation demanded that she surrender her planet.
I will not cooperate.
Queen Amidala said defiantly.
You are not going to like what we have in store for your people.
The Viceroy warned. He ordered his battle droids to put the Queen and her handmaidens in prison. The two Jedi arrived at the palace just as the Queen and her loyal handmaidens were being escorted to the dungeons. Qui-Gon stepped forward.
We are ambassadors for the Supreme Chancellor. Your Highness, under the circumstances, I suggest you come to Coruscant with us.
The battle droids drew their weapons, but the Jedi were too fast for them. Igniting their lightsabers, they deflected blaster bolts, leaving droid parts scattered across the floor. The Jedi and the Queen's party raced to a starship and blasted away from the planet. They had escaped the battle droids, but in space they were attacked by Trade Federation starfighters. The Queen's starship had no weapons. It was not a warship. The Jedi and their mission would have failed at that moment, if not for the help of several R2 droids. They rolled out onto the hull of the ship to repair the laser damage. Working unprotected, they were blasted away one by one until a single blue R2 remained. At the last minute, he repaired the shield generator and the ship launched to safety. As Qui-Gon and the others escaped, the evil Darth Sidious planned his next move. The Lord of the Sith wanted the Queen captured and the Jedi dead. He sent his apprentice, Darth Maul, to track them down and carry out his wishes. Darth Maul was eager for the hunt.
At last we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last we will have revenge.
His master, Darth Sidious, grinned.
You have been well trained, my young apprentice. They will be no match for you.
Qui-Gon had hoped to take Queen Amidala directly to the planet Coruscant, where the Republic Senate met. But the ship was damaged during the escape, and was forced to land on the remote desert planet, Tatooine. Qui-Gon, Jar Jar, R2-D2, and a handmaiden named Padme found their way to a junk shop owned by an alien named Watto. Watto had the part Qui-Gon needed to repair the ship, but refused to accept the Jedi's method of payment, Republic credits.
Republic credits are no good out here. I need something more real.
Qui-Gon had to find a way to pay for the part, and help came from an unexpected person, Watto's young human slave, Anakin Skywalker. Anakin was a friendly boy who was fascinated by everything the Outlanders told him. As Qui-Gon watched Anakin, he sensed that there was something very special about this boy. As Qui-Gon and the others left the junk shop, they were caught in a terrible sandstorm. While searching for shelter, they met Anakin again, and he offered to take them to his home. There, he introduced them to his mother, Shmi. Anakin offered to help the Jedi win a bet with the junk dealer and the needed generator. Watto loved to bet on the dangerous pod races, and Anakin was an expert pod racer. He had even secretly built his own machine.
You could enter my pod. You could make him think it was yours and get him to let me pilot it for you.
The prize money would be more than enough to pay for the parts the Outlanders needed. Sensing that destiny had brought them together, Qui-Gon agreed. What Qui-Gon did not know was that Anakin had never won a pod race, or even finished one. As Qui-Gon forged a deal with Watto, Darth Maul arrived on Tatooine. Using the evil powers of the Sith, he had tracked the Queen and the Jedi to the desert planet. Now he was eager to fight. Meanwhile, Qui-Gon convinced Watto to bet on the pod race.
If we win, you keep all the winnings minus the cost of the parts I need. And if we lose, you keep my ship.
Deal.
Watto laughed. Then the Jedi raised the stakes.
I'll wager my new racing pod against, say, the boy and his mother.
Watto hesitated.
No pod is worth 2 slaves.
Unable to convince him, Qui-Gon offered his pod for just the boy. Watto agreed. Qui-Gon sensed that Anakin was strong with the Force. Just before the race, he told the boy,
Remember, concentrate on the moment. Feel, don't think. Use your instincts.
Then, Anakin was off, the pod's twin engines screaming as he tore down the track. Pod racing was hard enough by itself, but on Tatooine, everyone cheated. The racers slammed into one another. Using his instincts, Anakin avoided all the traps. But as he hurtled down the final stretch, Anakin's pod got hooked on the leading pod, and they roared toward the finish line together. At the last minute, his opponent's steering rod snapped, and his ship smashed into a wall. Anakin spun across the finish line, alone. After the race, Qui-Gon surprised Anakin.
I'm no longer a slave.
Anakin was stunned. Then Qui-Gon made a fateful decision. He offered to take Anakin before the Jedi Council to ask if he could teach him the ways of the Jedi.
Our meeting was not a coincidence.
Anakin was thrilled until he learned he would have to leave his mother behind.
I don't want things to change.
Shmi comforted him.
But you can't stop the change, any more than you can stop the suns from setting.
After one final hug, Anakin bravely turned away and left with the Jedi. With the parts they'd won, Qui-Gon was able to repair the Queen's ship. But as they hurried to the transport, they were attacked by Darth Maul.
Anakin, drop! Go! Tell them to take off!
As Anakin raced for the ship, the Jedi and the Sith fought. Their laser swords flashed through the air. They jumped and spun furiously, kicking clouds of dust. At the last moment, Qui-Gon leaped aboard the ship and they blasted to safety. The Jedi was exhausted. That was a surprise he wouldn't soon forget. The Jedi, Anakin, the Queen, and her escorts flew to Coruscant. There, Qui-Gon told the Jedi Council about the mysterious warrior he'd fought.
My only conclusion can be that it was a Sith Lord.
Yoda, one of the Jedi Masters, was deeply concerned. If the Sith were involved, the Republic was in grave danger. Qui-Gon then asked the Jedi Masters to test Anakin. The Jedi Council agreed, but in the end, Anakin was rejected. One of the senior Jedi, Mace Windu, told Qui-Gon,
"No, he will not be trained. He is too old."
But Qui-Gon knew that Anakin would become a Jedi. He secretly vowed to train the boy himself. Meanwhile, Queen Amidala and her advisors found no help on Coruscant. The Republic Senate was too bogged down in endless meetings to act quickly, and save Naboo. Returning to Naboo with the Jedi, the Queen sought help from the Gungans, the species who shared her planet. Anakin expected the Queen to do the talking, but suddenly, Padme stepped forward.
I am Queen Amidala. This is my decoy.
Padme was actually the ruler of Naboo. The Gungans agreed to help and marched their trained army into battle. Blaster bolts filled the air as thousands of battle droids attacked. The Gungans were outnumbered. Luckily, the Gungan attack was a trick. The Jedi wanted to lure the battle droids away from the palace so they could sneak in and recapture the capital city. Unfortunately, Darth Maul wasn't fooled. He was waiting when the Jedi and the Queen arrived. Immediately, the two Jedi placed themselves between the Queen and the Sith Lord. Darth Maul attacked. It was 2 against 1, but the Sith Lord held his ground. He was armed with his dual-sided lightsaber and terrifying skill. The lightsabers of the 3 warriors sent up a shower of sparks as they fought. As the battle raged around him, Anakin hid inside a nearby starfighter with the droid R2-D2. Then he accidentally pushed a button, and the ship launched into space.
Oops, wrong one. It's on automatic pilot. Hang on!
Anakin and R2 were being fired at from all directions. The starfighter darted through space, but was soon struck.
We're hit!
Half out of control, the ship streaked right into a space battle, dodging laser fire and spinning around. R2 and Anakin hung on for their lives. The starfighter tore right into the docking bay of the Trade Federation droid control ship. Battle droids surrounded the ship. Frantically, Anakin pressed the firing button and scattered them with laser blasts. Then he launched 2 torpedoes that flew right past the droids.
Whoa!
But the Force was with him. Anakin may have missed the droids, but the torpedoes flew straight into the ship's engine room. The cruiser started to explode. R2 and Anakin raced their starfighter out just as the huge ship vanished in a ball of fire. Down on Naboo, the battle droids froze in place. With their command battleship destroyed, the Federation army could not function. The war for the planet was over. But the battle of the Jedi and the Sith raged on. Qui-Gon fought bravely, but Darth Maul was too strong for him. With a vicious stroke, the Sith Lord cut the Jedi down. A moment later, young Obi-Wan killed Darth Maul with a lightning blow, then rushed to Qui-Gon's side.
Master!
Obi-Wan, promise me you will train the boy.
With those words, the great Jedi died. Although Qui-Gon had been lost, the battle had been won. The Trade Federation had been driven from Naboo, and the planet was safe. Anakin watched as the people of Naboo celebrated their freedom. He wished his mother could see how far he had already come, but he knew he could not return home yet. Obi-Wan agreed to teach him the ways of the Jedi, and soon his training would begin. Yet at the same time, the Jedi Council's worries grew. One Sith Lord had been defeated, but as the Jedi Yoda said,
Always 2 there are. No more, no less. A master and an apprentice.
somewhere among the stars, there was another Sith Lord lurking in the galaxy, waiting for the chance to strike.
So, that was Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace for 1999. To be like, subscribe, share, and comment, and have a groovy day with another video coming out real soon.